The Miami Dolphins concluded the NFL preseason tonight with a loss against Tampa Bay, but there is a lot to discuss with this ball game, specifically with the two quarterbacks, Skylar Thompson and Mike White, because that was the biggest thing that we were looking out for in this ball game. No one cares about who ultimately won. All that matters for Miami is that the players that could play a role this season stayed healthy, and we wanted to see the quarterback battle between Mike White and Skylar Thompson, and I think we have a pretty clear and decisive winner of that QB2 battle. I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports, and Mike White started this ball game, but Skylar Thompson got the bulk of today's action, and he clearly looked like the better quarterback here. Skylar Thompson had 19 completions, 27 attempts, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. Unfortunately, did have a blemish on his day with an interception, which was not a good look. It was actually a really bad pass, if we're going to be honest. But I'm not going to focus on the negatives here for Skylar Thompson. I'm going to more or less focus on the positives because I did think he showcased a lot of nice things. The one thing that stood out to me the most tonight from Skylar Thompson compared to Mike White was the escapability inside the pocket. There were a couple plays from Skylar that were very, very impressive, and to where he was sitting back. The Buccaneers might have got a little pressure on him, but he was able to evade the initial pass rusher and step up and deliver a little 5-yard check down. But that is 5+ yards rather than -7, which ultimately saves you 12 yards, right? And there was also a couple times that Skylar Thompson got outside the pocket and was able to deliver a dot down the field. I'm specifically thinking of a fake halfback toss to the left, scramble into his right, throws off his back foot to a Mike Carley Jr. about 25 yards down the sideline and dropped it in the absolute bucket. Sure, the interception was very bad, but ultimately I think this was a fantastic game for Skylar Thompson, and to me, he really certified the QB2 role behind Tua Tagovailoa on this Dolphins roster. He just outperformed Mike White the entire preseason. And Mike White did not help himself today, who played the first quarter and a change in this ball game, went 5 of 9 for 37 yards. It just wasn't good. It simply was not good football from Mike White. And he hasn't shown good football at all this entire preseason. I know I'm not at practice, but if you're going to try to tell me that Mike White deserves the QB2 role, it better be because he's looking like Patrick Mahomes over on the practice field. I just don't see a way that you can justify Mike White being on this football team, especially when he has a $3.5 million cap hit. Like, sure, is that going to change the difference for the Dolphins? No, it's not going to do that. But $3.5 million for Mike White, certainly not worth it. I'm going with Skylar Thompson as QB2 for the Dolphins. But you let me know down in the comments section who you think should be QB2 for the Fins. If you believe that it should be Mike White type MW, if you think it should be Skylar Thompson type those STs, I'm going to roll with Skylar Thompson. Malik Washington was also pretty good in this game. He played the first half, and he was pretty electric, if you will. Scary potential injury over the middle of the field where he got rocked by the safety, but ultimately was able to come back into the game after being down on the field. He had an end around for 40 yards. He just absolutely has a electric feel for the field when he's got the ball in his hands. He makes people miss. He's got that quick, shifty speed burst that allows him to accelerate past defenders, but also make people miss. He hasn't displayed the ability to create separation in the passing game, but what he has shown is that when he gets the ball in his hands, he does a lot of good things. Excellent punt returner as well. Had a deep punt return for about 30, 40 yards, all the way from the 20 to the midfield. Also had a kick return all the way out to the 40-yard line. Like, Malik Washington will have a role on this team this season, whether it be as a slot receiver, as he refines his route running technique and ability to get open, but also in the special teams game. Because right now, maybe it's a hot take, but I would rather see Malik Washington returning punts and kicks for Miami than Braxton Berrios. And if that's the case, well, then what's the point of having Braxton Berrios on this team? But you're going to have to with River Craycraft's injury. Jaylen Wright, the rookie from Tennessee, saw some PT today, and I thought he was fine. Nothing special. 7 carries for 36 yards. I mean, to say nothing special is kind of crazy considering, 5 yards per carry? It's pretty damn good for Jaylen Wright, right? Didn't mean to do that, but either way. Jaylen Wright was pretty solid today for the Fins. The 4th-round rookie out of Tennessee has been nothing short of spectacular. Continue to enjoy watching him work. Think he's going to be really effective for the Dolphins this year in the pass game, in the run game. I think he's going to be a fine 3rd running back for this team. I've always said it. Devon Achane, Jaylen Wright, and Raheem Mostert are going to be a really, really good running back trio this year. What's your biggest takeaway from this game? Let me know. Could it be the Mike White, Skylar Thompson QB2 battle? I'm still riding with Skylar Thompson, but let me know your biggest takeaway from this game for the Miami Dolphins. Someone who actually impressed a little bit for the Fins today was actually UDFA tight end Hayden Rucci, who went to Wisconsin, was picked up as a UDFA. He had 5 catches, 44 yards, and a touchdown. And that touchdown was impressive. I actually want to touch on that a little bit more. That was a dime by Skylar Thompson. Thompson caught it in the gun, looked right, looked left, came back to the middle, and layered a football on a 20-yard seam route right over the linebacker to Rucci before the safeties came into play. Rucci was able to catch it about the 2 and then just carry his momentum into the end zone for the first touchdown of the game for the Miami Dolphins. Hayden Rucci was spectacular today. Also was good in the bootleg department. Couple bad moments in the third quarter. Dropped the ball that could have been picked off, but luckily it just hit the ground there instead of going into the hands of a Falcons defender. And also was called for a holding play. Those both happened on the first drive of the third quarter for the Fins. But if you take away that one possession for Rucci, he was actually really darn good in this game. Mike Harley Jr. had 2 catches for 39 yards as well for the Fins, but listen, these things don't really mean that much, folks, considering most of these people are going to be cut. It just simply wasn't that impactful of a game for the Miami Dolphins. And we're going to have more to say here on the Dolphins and how they are looking going into this 53-man roster cutdown day on Tuesday. But we do have to tell you about today's sponsor, which is Game Time. Game Time is the #1 ticketing app in the world, and you have to get started with Game Time. I appreciate them sponsoring today's episode. It's the only way I get my tickets, whether it is going to a sporting event like a Dolphins football game, a Miami Heat basketball game, a Marlins baseball game, which I don't know if you want to go to them right now. But either way, no matter where you're located, make sure you buy your tickets with Game Time. Game Time creates the best way to get tickets, so easy to do. And they actually just rolled out a new feature called Game Time Picks. It filters out the fluff to show you the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They also have all-in pricing, which allows you to toggle that feature. Shows you the total money of your ticket up front with no surprise fees at checkout. They also allow you to see a view from your seat, get a panoramic view before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, make sure you download that app, redeem code CHATSPORTS when you create an account, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. That promo code and link will be in the description and comments of today's video. Shout out to Game Time for sponsoring today's episode. Not much to really talk about on the Dolphins defense, if we're going to be honest. It was honestly a little disappointing, if we're going to be for real. You see it on Skeen. Kyle Trask had a pretty good day. I do actually want to mention one name specifically on the defensive end for Miami, and that is Channing Tindall, the third-year player out of Georgia who was a third-round pick for the Dolphins. He has been on the outside of my roster projection for a while, and I have ultimately always said that Tindall has to play extremely well to try to fight his way onto this roster. I'll be honest. I'm tempted to keep him, guys. I am. Like, if I was Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer, I don't know what I would do because he has been excellent. He had 7 tackles and a sack in week 1 against the Falcons. He had another 4 sacks and a half a sack against the Commanders in week 2. And then today, he was all over the football field. 12 tackles, 1 QB hit. He made a couple decent plays in pass coverage as well. Channing Tindall really, really impressed me today. The former Georgia Bulldog. I don't know if the Dolphins keep 5 guys in the linebacker department. I would actually doubt they do. But if they were, it's because of the way Channing Tindall played. I don't think they're going to cut Duke Riley because Riley was not in pads today, which ultimately tells me the Dolphins feel pretty confident where he's at, and they didn't want to have him be injured. So I think Duke Riley's on this team. But, man, Channing Tindall has absolutely given it his all to try to make this roster. And we'll ultimately see what the Dolphins elect to do because Tindall has played extremely good in this preseason. Some other guys that caught my eye. I don't know. Isaiah Johnson had a nice little play in the red zone there where he forced an incompletion, but then gave up a touchdown right after the fact. So that wasn't ideal. Like, there really wasn't a lot to come away with this one. Like, Ethan Bonner wasn't great. Had a couple plays early, didn't play that much. Nick Needham. Oh, that's actually a good thing that we should talk about. Now I'm seeing his name. Nick Needham actually played safety for this ball game. Yeah, it was quite the shocker to see Nick Needham play most of the today in safety, but ultimately that's where he was at. Continue to see him represented for the Dolphins safety group as he's trying to work there and earn himself a different way to stay on this roster. I'm fascinated, man. I am absolutely fascinated to see what this Dolphins team looks like after Tuesday because there's a lot of players that could be on this roster, a lot of team players that could not be on this roster. I'm intrigued to see, which is why you need to be subscribed to the channel because we are going to break down everything for the Miami Dolphins leading up to that roster cutdown day. Listen, it's a big day. We're going to have you covered, so make sure you hit that sub button and join the channel because we're going to have daily content surrounding the Fins from tonight, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and the big day on Tuesday, or where it is roster cutdown day. So make sure you do hit that sub button, daily content here at the channel.